Don't breathe. They panicked when the female SEAL sniper raised her explosive bolt crossbow. The night air was thick, heavy with the smell of damp concrete and old rust. Somewhere in the distance, a generator coughed and went silent. The abandoned shipyard should have been empty at this hour, but it wasn't. Shadows moved between stacked containers, boots crunching softly over gravel. Men whispered to each other, their voices tense, unaware that they were already being watched. From the highest crane arm, nearly invisible against the dark sky, she lay perfectly still. Her breathing was slow, controlled, almost non-existent. Years of training had taught her how to disappear, not just from sight, but from sound, from instinct itself. The crossbow rested against her shoulder, its matte black limbs absorbing the moonlight instead of reflecting it. The bolt loaded into it was not ordinary steel. It was an explosive tipped bolt, designed for precision strikes when silence mattered more than firepower. Her name was Captain Mara Vance. To the world, she officially didn't exist anymore. To those who knew, she was a legend among legends, a former Navy SEAL sniper whose file had been buried so deep it might as well have been erased. Tonight, she had come out of the shadows for one reason only. Below her, 12 men spread out, weapons ready. They were professionals, not street thugs. Their movements were disciplined, their spacing deliberate. This was a private militia group that had gone rogue, hijacking classified weapons shipments and selling them to the highest bidder. Intelligence said they were meeting a buyer here, someone dangerous enough to warrant a one-person insertion rather than a full strike team. One person who could move without being detected, who could end this without turning the shipyard into a war zone. Mara's finger rested near the trigger guard, not touching it yet. She watched, listened, memorized patterns. The men laughed quietly at something, the sound sharp in the silence. One of them adjusted his helmet, another checked his watch. They were relaxed, confident. They thought they controlled the night. They didn't know the night was hers. A faint click echoed through the shipyard. Barely audible, but enough. One of the men froze. His head snapped up, eyes scanning the darkness. "Did you hear that?" he whispered. "Probably rats," another replied, though his grip tightened on his rifle. Mara closed her eyes for a fraction of a second, then opened them again. This was the moment. She rose just enough for the crossbow to clear the crane's edge. The movement was smooth, almost graceful. The men below saw her then, a silhouette against the sky, calm and unmoving. "What the?" someone started to say. She raised the crossbow. Panic rippled through the group like electricity. They shouted, weapons swinging upward, but it was already too late. They recognized the weapon, or at least they recognized what it meant. An explosive bolt crossbow wasn't something you saw every day. It was a specialist's tool. A SEAL's tool. Sniper. One of them yelled, though the word didn't fully fit what he was seeing. Mara exhaled slowly and squeezed the trigger. The bolt flew, slicing through the air without a sound. It struck the ground between two containers, embedding itself in concrete. For half a second, nothing happened. Then the explosion blossomed outward, contained but devastating. The shockwave slammed into the men, throwing them off their feet. Shrapnel tore through weapons and armor, rendering them useless without killing anyone outright. That was intentional. Smoke filled the shipyard. Alarms went off inside helmets. Men scrambled, coughing, shouting orders that no one could hear clearly anymore. "Don't breathe." Mara's voice rang out, amplified by a throat mic, calm and commanding. "Every step you take makes it worse." They couldn't see her clearly now, just her outline moving along the crane, repositioning with terrifying ease. Another bolt slid into place. Her hands didn't shake. They never did. One man fired blindly into the smoke. The bullet sparked uselessly against metal. Another tried to run, boots pounding across the concrete. Mara adjusted her aim and fired again. This bolt hit a container door, blasting it inward with a deafening crack. The explosion echoed through the shipyard, and the running man was thrown to the ground, stunned and disarmed. The message was clear. She could end them whenever she wanted. "Stay down," she said, her voice steady, almost cold. "Hands where I can see them." One by one, weapons clattered to the ground. The panic in their eyes was unmistakable now. These were men who had fought in real battles, who had faced death before. But this was different. This was being hunted by something they couldn't reach. Mara descended from the crane with practiced speed, using ladders and shadows, never exposing herself fully. By the time her boots touched the ground, she was already behind them. Her rifle was slung across her back now, but the crossbow remained in her hands, aimed effortlessly. She moved among them, checking each one, zip-tying wrists with swift, efficient motions. None of them resisted. They didn't dare. One man finally found his voice. "Who are you?" he asked, fear cracking through his tough exterior. Mara stopped in front of him. Even in the dim light, he could see her eyes, sharp and unyielding. "Someone you shouldn't have crossed." Sirens wailed in the distance. Local authorities, tipped off anonymously, were on their way. Mara had already sent the evidence, the locations, the transaction details. This operation was over. As she walked away, disappearing back into the darkness, the men lay bound and silent, replaying the moment in their minds. The instant when she raised that crossbow, when control slipped through their fingers and panic took its place. The shipyard returned to stillness, smoke drifting upward, moonlight reflecting off twisted metal. Mara paused at the edge of the shadows, listening one last time. Satisfied, she vanished, leaving nothing behind but fear and unanswered questions. Somewhere far away, in a quiet room, someone would read the report and mark the mission as complete. Captain Mara Vance would remain a ghost, a story whispered among those who knew better than to underestimate the dark. And if you enjoyed this intense, realistic story of courage, precision, and fear, don't forget to subscribe to the channel Her World Stories. Your support helps bring more powerful stories like this to life, straight from the shadows to your screen.